last year's Comic-Con?
The one thing I noticed were the mats. Joseph brought up about the mats, how it was hard for people with wheelchairs to really accessorize and move around throughout the convention. So as soon as I touched that mat, I was like, they approved, they listened to us, and I saw them move even faster than they did last year. So thank you for bringing that up, Joseph.
And again, the quiet rooms, just seeing that, it was the grounding techniques there, that's a huge improvement, and it's a huge thing because a lot of people there are a lot of people who aren't familiar with that, and it's something so simple that and it's public access information, and it can help so many people just to have it there. And what's cool is it was flyers, so people could take them and they could take them home with them, and they can share that information. And also, as I said, have the convention reaching out and asking about the elevator signs to make sure that it's accessible. And I was able to point out some things that they could change, and they took that into account. And when I seen the signs, I was like, wow, they really, listened, and they reworded the entire thing.
There's one thing I've been trying to get happening at the conventions, especially for accessibility for people with needing assistance with wheelchairs and such. I want to, there's like stairways and escalators, right? I want to get on the side of the stairways. If we have like a small ramp, they can bring them in and just plop them over the stairs. It's real easy. We put a small ramp on the side of each of the stairways. Then A, wheels can go up and down the stairs easier, and B, people who don't want to walk up the stairs, it's a little easier on your knees to go up and down the ramp, and you can hold on and you can pull yourself. So I really want to get that going. We get some of those industrial ramps just over the side of each stairway. I think that would really help. So everybody, floods them with that request, maybe we'll make it happen.
And one other important thing that I'll point out is having the ASL interpreters here. That is such a huge thing, and a huge major improvement from previous years. And that seeing them here right before the panel, that made my day. And as I said, it's so important, but my emotions can't express how important that is to see that.
Thank you, ladies.
And we would also like to give the audience a chance to give us their feedback and ask questions of what you think that should be improved for accessibility, or things that you like that should be kept in the con. So we're ready for questions. You want to come up?
Thank you. I'm a doctor of physical therapy. I have quite a few patients that have different myriad disabilities, and a lot of young patients too. So young patients with disabilities. Resources. I was trying to find the website you had mentioned. Infinite. There was one of the websites you mentioned, but
that was a group name. It wasn't a website.
A group name. Okay. So in other words, recommendations from you guys. So again, dealing with a lot of young patients who a lot of the eyes perked up this week when I was saying, hey, I'm taking my son to Comic-Con, want to know more about it. So some that don't have visible disabilities, some that have very visible disabilities, but recommendations where when they asked me this week how it was, what can I pass on to them and their parents as recommendations?
The first thing I'm going to point out is there are a lot of supports out there, especially for young people. There's Youth Power, which is a youth and activism group in youth cross systems youth activism in New York State, youthpowerny.org. Depending on which county and region of New York you're in, there are also various supports out there. And if ever there's a support that's not there, start it up. You know, it doesn't take much to create new supports. That's one of the really cool things about the peer support movement, which is peer-to-peer. You know, you can meet at the library, you know, and talk about stuff, you know, and organize it independently, and then people notice, and then you'll start getting that support from local businesses or wherever, you know, agencies, and that's how things start when there isn't a support.
What was the recommendations for people with disabled kids?
Wait, go ahead, here's a mic.
I've shown pictures from years past of different cosplay, or they've Googled and say, oh, you mean like these kind of things. And so I want to be able to share something and say, hey, by the way, if you're interested, here's a resource you can check out to get involved. Something like that.
I know. So there's one group that we've had some workings with. Everybody write this name down if you don't know them already. Magic Wheelchair. If you haven't heard of them, Google them, YouTube, they're all over the place. They are a cosplay building special effects company that makes costumes for kids in wheelchairs specifically. And you can contact them and get on their wait list. You know, they do amazing work. They have artists from big companies such as ILM, Industrial Light and Magic, which is one of the biggest special effects companies that worked for Star Wars and all that. And you know, if you know Adam Savage, he's a big advocate. He works with them, and so that's a great resource to donate to. So anybody who has a child in a wheelchair can get a costume made elaborate. I'm talking about like movie quality, and they can have it and you know, parade around. So and they do a whole. They show it off at the conventions, you know, they do like a whole revealing and all that. So it's really, really cool.
There's also another organization called Cosabilities, and they do the same thing with the wheelchairs and make wheelchairs, wheelchair costumes and accessible costumes. And there's also on Facebook, there are definitely groups about that, and definitely worth looking that up.
Thank you. Does anybody have a question? Yeah? Can you come up here, please? Oh, there you go.
So, I know you guys have been doing this, like some of you guys have been doing this in 2014, 2016. How did you get over your first fears of cosplaying? Like, did you have someone help you, or like, what was it like the first time you did it, if that makes sense?
My first cosplay was back in 2012, and I cosplayed Bar of the Sand. And mind you, it wasn't anything fancy. It was literally some clothes that I put together, and I made the board myself. Walking through the New York area itself is rough in costume, but you always have to have a support system. A few group of friends, even one friend is enough. Somebody just is going to be there and say, hey, you know what, you look great, forget what you hear, it's fine. Or you can always get yourself a squad that's going to be behind you, ready to swing if you need to.
So, when I was younger, this is like 10, 15 years ago, somebody told me a story, and it goes like this. A man falls into a hole. A doctor walks by, writes a script, tosses it into the hole. A priest walks by, writes a prayer, and tosses it into the hole and just keeps on walking. A friend walks by and jumps into that hole. And the man in the hole asks, why did you jump in? Now we're both stuck. And he says, yes, but I've been in this hole before and I know the way out. And my first experience cosplaying, I didn't have that, so it was a bit harder because it was before the big boom in cosplay, but there were still places locally where there were other people who cosplayed, and what ended up happening was afterwards I would bring other people in, and
Joseph, can you speak a little bit louder?
as time went on,
Thank you.
it became more supportive, and so yeah, if you're scared, reach out, ask a friend to go with you. It makes a huge difference.
The question again was, I'm sorry, what was the question? It was about, my first...
How do you get over your
my
fear?
first fear.
Yeah.
2011, I think, was my first Comic-Con, and I didn't know anything about it. I knew I was into, I watched anime and video games growing up, but my first Comic-Con, I only had one costume, and actually my mom and I made it when I was 10 years old, and it still fits me. I was a big kid. Yeah, Super Saiyan Goku, and we made it all like handmade, and I was like, well, everyone's kind of dressing up, so I'll just throw this, but I was so nervous, I didn't even want to wear it in the train, like I was by myself, I came, and I met all these fine people, like, all many years ago, and saw that they were all doing the same thing. I was like, oh, this isn't so bad, I'm getting into it, you know what I mean? And then from there, it just was like, wow, I can actually make stuff and figure out how to incorporate that into my everyday life. So, based on the conditions that we all have and many other people have, it allows us to let our creativity run freer, because we need to find ways to utilize that to help us cope with our conditions. So through that, I feel that we don't have disabilities, we have superpowers. So we all have a superpower. Each one of us has a talent outside of our regular day life that we can show off.